Continuing on our study of Daf Yomi, we are on Eruvin, Mem Bet, Amud Aleph. So yesterday we were talking about having been removed from about leaving the Tchum, albeit intentionally or accidentally, and what that means in regards to how far you're allowed to walk. If you're done so intentionally, you would only have Dalet Amot, only have 4 cubits around you. And we're still trying to figure out if you have been returned, is there a way for you to be able to retain your original tchum of the distance you're allowed to walk around the city or not? That's what we're discussing. So we had ended yesterday saying about the case of default being that if you had as long as you return to the same location, you can still as long as the fruits return to the location, you can eat them no matter what. But then Chaim is saying no, that you can only eat them if they've been returned to the original location after they left the tchum, if they've been returned accidentally. If you've done so deliberately, you're not going to eat the fruits. So now the Gemara turns to rejects our thoughts from yesterday. Lo, but everybody agrees if you deliberately have the fruits outside of the tchum and return them, then you cannot eat them. The question is accidentally return to the tchum, but not in its exact prior location. Tanakama savar b'shogeg shari shalom b'koman, Rechem savar afil b'shogeg b'komanin shalom b'koman lo. Rather, what's the machlok? It isn't about if you deliberately moved it back. Rather, the question is they've been accidentally returned to the tchum. Does it specifically need to be in the same location? If or not. So the Tanakama says that it does not need to be in a certain location as long as it's brought back within the tchum, that's sufficient. Whereas Metzger says, even when it's brought back accidentally, if it's brought back to the original location, then it's allowed. But if it has not been, then you cannot eat it. So now we're saying, how can that be right? What about the latter half of that right? Metzger, Rabbi Eliezer, Ben Yaakov, Omrim, Olam Asur Man Shechazaru V'Kaman Shogegin. Shogegin Mezid Lo. Miklal Tanakama Savar B'Mezid Nami Shari Namina. So what do you mean? The latter clause says, in regards to Rabbi Nechemiah and Rabbi Eliezer and Yaakov, that it's really a problem until it's forbidden until they return to their place accidentally. Which implies accidentally you're allowed to eat them, but it's deliberately not allowed to eat them, which implies that the Tanakama states that even if you deliberately brought it back to the original location, it should be allowed. Shemena, and that's where we learned that Rav Papa's opinion, actually, that we mentioned earlier, is following the first opinion, not that of Rabbi Nechemiah Rabbi Eliezer, rather than of the Tanakama. So now we have another statement. Amar Nachman Amar Shmuel. If somebody's walking, doesn't know where the Tchum Shabbos is. If somebody doesn't know precisely where the tchum from the city is, so basically, start from the end of the city. You will take 2,000 average paces, and then you will know how far Tchum Shabbos is, because the medium stride is approximately nearly 1 Amar Nachman Amar Shmuel. Another statement that Nachman's name is Shmuel. Shabbat b'bika v'kifu anochri mechitza b'Shabbat mahalech alpayim hama. So Rav Nachman said in Shmuel that if you haven't been spending Shabbos in a valley, and then non-Jews decided to build walls all around you, you can walk 2,000 amot around around your location, meaning the walls are probably non-Jews aren't helpful. You will still have your only original tchum that you had before, but the walls non-Jews could have helped you that you're not allowed to that you're currently allowed to carry by means of throwing. And you yourself cannot leave the 2,000 amot. Ravuna Amar, Mahalach Alpayim Amot, Mutal Arba Amot. But Ravuna says, actually, no, you can walk 2,000 amot around you, but you only carry 4 amot. They talk about Kula Days Mika. Wait, why wouldn't you simply, and wait, why can't you simply carry the whole area by throwing the item around instead of carrying it yourself, which normally should be allowed in such a circumstance? So why can't we do that? So Shema Yimashech al Chagafto, because no, maybe drawn after your object, and therefore you might end up throwing your object too far away, and then you'll end up following the object outside of your 2,000 amot. So the Mana say that let him carry in 2,000 amot, if it's all in the walls. So why can't you do that? Because it's if you have a wall that has been breached in its majority into entirely into places that's forbidden because there's no separation between the 2,000 amot where you're allowed to carry and the place you can't. Therefore, it's considered to be like the case you had a area that is. So if you have two regions, one which opens to another area is forbidden to the other one, and then you would not be able to carry to that location. Okay, so Chib Barav Amar Mahalapai Mamam Talta Pai Mama. So Chib Barav says actually you can walk 2,000 amot and you can carry into those 2,000 amot. Come on, so who's this opinion like? Loker Huna. This is not like Ramah. We just heard, or who do we just heard? So Imam Talta. No, maybe what he meant to say is you can carry 4 amot. Yahachi and Ravuna. Wait, but that's exactly the Ravuna stated. Then why are you saying? Then what's Chib Barav stating? It's really Ravuna's opinion. So so rather, what do you mean to say? You mean to say, yes, it is exactly Ravuna's opinion. He's saying that Rabbi Chia Barav simply had the same opinion. Amar Ravuna. So Ravuna responded to Ravuna, Lo tiflog alei Shmuel, Tanya Kmate. So Ravuna said, Ravuna, don't argue with Shmuel in this case, because there's actually a Beit that supports him. The Tanya is one in the Beit, turning out to men bet of a bet. The first was measuring 2,000 amot around of the 12, and then he completes it. And his measurement ends in the middle of the city. He's allowed to carry in that whole within the whole city as long as he hasn't gone outside of his tchum. We say carrying. Don't we mean that it's to carry by means of throwing, not carrying it regularly? No, you're right. He can't. Not that he can, do. We're not saying that he's carrying regularly. Not we're saying only by means of throwing. Rather, he's also allowed to do so by pulling, meaning he's allowed to pull it. He's allowed to. So, and why is he allowed to carry the little area? Because it's attached on a string, and since you're pulling the object, there's nowhere that it'll be pulled after it because you always pull back closer to you. So Amar Ravuna Hayamodeduva, the person measuring out 2,000 amot, and then he finally reaches, and then he finishes. And then he finishes his measurement halfway through a courtyard. You don't like carry half into the courtyard. He can't. He does not get the whole courtyard that it ended up in. Shita. So it's not obvious. Ema yeshlo chatzi chatzer. So could you say that you can carry in half the chatzer then, according to Ravuna's opinion? Hanami pita, you want to say this obvious? No. We would have thought no, maybe it said that chatzer is different from the city case, because by chatzer we're really concerned you'll be carrying into the rest of the chatzer. Mashmalan, no, that ending halfway through a courtyard is the same as ending halfway through a city. So Rav said that who agrees with me that carrying in another case, that if you're measuring out your tzum and it ends at the edge of the roof of the house, you can carry throughout the entirety of the house. My time. Well, that works is as if the edge of the roof presses down, and therefore there's no concern that he might go beyond his area, and therefore he can go up to the very end. Amar Huna Braid Rav Natan Tanai. This is going to look at Tanai. Holy Le'er If the non-Jews have taken him to another city, Januba deer or skusar. And they put him either into a pen or a stable. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Omri, Mahalat Hakula. So Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah say you can walk the whole thing. Rabbi Shuv, Rabbi Akiva, Omri, Emla Alar Mama. Yeah, we quoted this statement earlier, right? Yesterday, stating that if you were removed from the city and the nun had placed you into a pen or stable, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar say you can walk the whole area. Rabbi Shuv Akiva and say that you only get the Lama. Again, this is the case that we had in the Mishnah. So my love from Gamliel Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah the Amru Malach Kula Lo Gazri Hilach Tir V'Sar Atu Hilach B'Vika. So we would not say that Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah are the ones who say that you can walk the whole. Why are you allowed to walk the whole area? Because we're not worried that you'll confuse the case where you're brought to a pen or stable for by the nuns for Shabbos, the case where you're in the valley. So therefore, that's why these cases don't line up. And since it didn't prohibit walking in the pen or stable because of limits of Zichron, they also didn't oppose limits about carrying that you might end up carrying outside of there. You're allowed to carry as well. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva, the Omer Ein Lo Alarba. What Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Akiva who said you only get Dalam. Oh, the Gazri Hilach Dir Vasar Atu Hilach Tavika. Who do say that you can use a rabbinic provision because of the similarity between when you're in a pen or stable versus when you're in a valley. I mean, Hilach Atu Hilach Gazri Kiltal Hilach Nami Gazri. Just like they're worried about walking. Will we get walking too far? So similarly, they're also worried about carrying because it may lead you to walk too far as well. So wait, how can you say that this is the same? Tilma kilo gazir bagamleil Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Hilo sahar dir sahar kilo atu hilo bika. Hanimili hatam nishtei mekomonim. So why do you say that's the case? There, we're talking about the cases of the pen or the stable and that of the valley. There that's when there are that's when there's two distinct places. But here, by the Bika, you wouldn't necessarily say that that's a fair statement. But in the case where it's saying talking about carrying all in one area, you might say that they wouldn't disagree. Because they might have said that you should make a Gzera. Gzera Shema Yimashach so because now maybe you'll say that now you can apply the concept of maybe you'll get pulled after your item. So for Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva Nami, and similarly for Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Akiva, Mimai Mishim de Gazriku. So and how do they know that you're not allowed to walk beyond Dalanam do this Zera? Zil Mishim de Kasavri Ki Amrinan Kol Bait Kulok Arbamadamu, Hani Mili Hecha de Shabbat Ba'avi Mechitza Mibadyom. So maybe you'd say that it's different. We only say in the case of that the whole house is considered to be like your Dalanam. What is when you were there from the previous day, but not as you showed there in the middle. Well, maybe that you only get the whole area enclosed by a compound if you were there before Shabbos. Not what happened on Shabbos. So that's why Rav said, by deer, star, and Sina, that you get the whole area. But Shmuel says the halacha of Gamliel only on the boat, but not when you're in the pen or the stable. Why is everybody? Well, okay, that's nice. Why did it distinguish? Why is everybody literally to Rabbi Gamliel's case in the case of the boat, but not in the case of the stable? Because by the boat case, you definitely already been there before Shabbos, whereas for the pen or the stable case, you were not there before Shabbos. But even though, yes, you both say you're forced to move from the Zichron, but one of them you're already within the walls prior. Because in the boat case, you're already within the walls of the boat, just the boat happens to have moved. So I guess if you had been in a house, let's say in a mobile home, and then somebody decided to drag the mobile home movie similar to the boat case, suppose the case not actually picked you up and brought you to another location. Rizera Omer Hoil Spina Notelat Mitchilat Arba Natso Saf Arba. Rizera says the reason behind this is because basically the way we treat current boat is as if that it took you from one side of the Dalamo and it placed the other side of the Dalamo, So therefore, we just say because you're constantly on the move. So therefore, you just say that you get the whole thing. So the difference. The question is if the walls of the boat were breached. Or let's say you're jumping from boat to boat. So therefore, if you're on the other boat, then that would no longer apply. Because once you are jumping from one boat to the other one, then you no longer have the original walls because you're on another boat, and therefore it should be problematic as well. Those are just cases where we can differentiate between Rabba's reasoning versus Rabbi Zera's. So for Rabbi Zera, my time Rabba. So why did Rabbi Zera to say increase the Rabba? So Amar Lach, what do you say? Mosquito, Lavriach, mine was to He says, no, the walls of the boat are no different than the wall aren't considered to be walls. In this context, because they're not really meant for you to do anything, rather they're only there to keep the water out, not there to actually serve as partitions. The Rabbah, my time and Rabbah, why didn't he say according to Zera's opinion? Because the boat is moving. Because the boat is moving. Every reason the boat is moving, there's no problem. Therefore, you get the Amot. Keep pligi bisham. The right says when it's moving, you're right. Your dot are constantly on the move. Therefore, staying in one place doesn't actually help you. Your dot are always moving. But when the boats come to rest, that's when the hook comes up, and where Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yeshua would say that you only get the dot where the Gamliel will let you to walk the entire